The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Hi children, how are you? Hope you are healthy and happy. Motivate yourself, as self-motivation is one of the factors which leads to happiness. Today I want to share 3 simple tricks for how to motivate yourself. Number 1, create a positive environment. Number 2, celebrate your small wins. And number 3, surround yourself with motivated people. By saying these words, I move on to today's session. My dear children, today we are going to begin with a new chapter, that is chapter 6, Organisms and Population. In that, what is ecology? We should know. Ecology, it deals with the study of organisms in relation to their environment. Here we know that what is biological organization. Already we understood this in our previous class. Hierarchy is given here. From the atom, the biological organization begins. From atom, then to molecule, then cell, tissue, organ system, organism, population, community, ecosystem and biosphere. This is the hierarchy of biological organization. Here you can see, isn't it? Atom, molecule, as usually lifeless but essential to the formation of life. And to the next level you can see mostly living. It is biology, organelles, cell, tissue, organ. That shows that organelles combine together to form cells, cells combine to form tissue, tissue will be forming organ, then to organ system, organism, that is simple to complex it is moving. And then from organism to population, community, ecosystem, biosphere. This is ecology, that is population to biosphere is ecology. So here you can see the hierarchy of biological organization related to ecology. I think you would have understood about biological organization. Now next thing, ecology is basically concerned with 4 levels of biological organization. 4 levels are the basic concept of ecology. Number 1, organism, 2, population, 3, communities and number 4, biomes. From biomes, biosphere is formed. So organism, population, communities, biomes are the 4 basic levels of biological organization. Now the first one is organism, living component of the environment at individual level. It is a living component of the environment and it is at individual level. Population, we can say it is a group of individuals of the same species living together in an area at a particular time. So what is population? Organism means a single individual is organism, whereas population, it is a group of individuals. When a group of individuals combine together, we can say it as population, and it may be of same species where they will be living together in a particular area at a particular time. That is the difference between organism and population. Next is community. an assembly of population of plants, animals, bacteria and fungi that live in a given area and interact with each other. So, little bit advanced level now we came, that is organism means only a single individual is known as organism. But when we entered into the population, it is a group of individual. Now, when we saw about community, we saw that assembly of population, that is 2 or 3 population, when they combine together, we can say it as community. Now, the next one is ecosystem, the community together with its physical environment, and community together, that means 2 or more community when they will combine together with the surrounding is called ecosystem. And what is biomes? It is a large regional unit delimited by a specific climatic zones having a major vegetation type and associated fauna. Biomes means it's a large regional unit, it's a big unit where specific climatic conditions will be there with vegetation types will be there, as well as it is being associated with fauna. Fauna means animals, flora means plants. So, many animals will be there, many plants will be there with a specific climatic zone is the area which is called biomes. Okay. And what is biosphere? All the ecosystems of the world together form a biosphere. Biosphere means the ecosystem which is there present in the world, together it is called biosphere. So, that is the technical terms related to the many things which we have studied just now, that is individual individual, population, community, ecosystem, biomes, biosphere. All these are the technical terms, and these technical terms are very, very important. You should understand it, what is individual or what is organism, what is population, what is community, what is ecosystem, what is biome and what is biosphere. So, I think you would have understood about it, my dear children. Now, the first topic related to the chapter 6 is organisms and its environment. What is environment? It is a sum total of all the physical and biotic conditions which influences the organism. That is sum total of all the physical and biotic condition for an organism to survive, for an organism to cope up with the environment, isn't it? So, biotic condition and physical conditions, so sum total of physical as well as biotic condition which will be influencing the organism to live in that habitat is called environment. And in the environment we know that different seasons are taking place, and different seasons are taking place due to many reasons. In that it is been given that a rotation of earth around the sun. The different seasons which are taking place there in the environment is due to the reason there. It has been said that rotation of earth around the sun. The earth is rotating around the sun, due to that different seasons are taking place. And number 2 has been said that tilting of earth in its axis, revolvation of the earth on its own axis. So, these are the 2 main reasons for different seasons taking place in the environment. Now, the major biomes include desert, grassland, rainforest, etc. The major biomes are desert, grassland, rainforest, etc. I think you would have understood about this one. Now, formation of major biomes is due to annual variation in intensity and duration of temperature. How the major biomes are formed? Because of annual variation in the intensity and duration of temperature. In the temperature, variation is taking place annually, and that variation is being measured in its intensity as well as in its duration. Based on that thing, major biomes are taking place. And number 2 has been said that annual variation in precipitation. These are the 2 reasons for the formation of major biomes. You can see here, this is desert biome, this is grassland, tropical forest, this is a temperate forest, coniferous forest. So, all these are the biomes which are formed due to these two reasons. This figure is very important, you have to study it. Next is related to the habitat. It is an ecological area that is inhabited by a particular species of organism. A particular area is there where the particular species will be staying there or it will be inhabiting there. That is called habitat. And what is ecological niche? This is important again. It is a habitat where it is having a distinct functional role and position of a species. It is a part of habitat. Ecological niche is a part of habitat where it is playing a distinct functional role, isn't it? And the position of a species. What position the species is attaining there in the habitat? What functional role the species is having there in that habitat is ecological niche. Here it has been said that if habitat is the address of an organism, then niche is the profession of that organism. If you are considering habitat as an address of the organism, surely ecological niche is the profession of that organism. I think you would have understood about habitat and ecological niche. It is again important. Now, next thing has been said that the key elements that determine variation in the environment are. In the environment, variations are taking place, isn't it, my dear children? We know that thing, and this variation is taking place due to abiotic factors as well as biotic factors. The abiotic factors are temperature, water, light and soil. Related to them in detail we are going to study, and the biotic factors are pathogens, parasites, predators as well as competitions. So, these are the two factors which are playing an important role in bringing variations in the environment. So, next we can see about abiotic factors. In that, number one is temperature, and we know that what is temperature? It is a measurement of degree of hotness or coldness of a substance. Depending upon the thermal tolerance, organisms are of two types. Depending upon the tolerating range of temperature, we can classify organisms into two types. Number one is eurythermal and number two is stenothermal. Eurythermal, the organism which can tolerate and thrive in a wide range of temperature. Eury means wide, therm means heat. It has been said that if the organism is able to tolerate and is able to live in a wide range of temperature, those organisms are called eurythermal organisms. Example, wall lizard, man, etc. So, that is about eurythermal. And number two is stenothermal, the organism which can tolerate only a narrow range of temperature. Steno means narrow, therm means heat, steno narrow. So, here it has been said that if the organisms are able to tolerate only a small amount of temperature or a narrow range of temperature, these or those organisms are called stenothermal. Example, snail, snake, some fishes, etc. So, that is about temperature. So, my dear children, in the temperature you have to study, learn and understand about eurythermal and stenothermal. It is very important. Now, the next one is water. Salinity tolerant organisms are of two types. We know that water is very essential factor for the organism to live. Without water, we cannot live, isn't it? So, here it has been said that there are organisms which are able to tolerate even the saline condition of water. So, here it has been said that salinity tolerant organisms are of two types. Salinity means saline, that means salt water, and these two organisms are Euryhaline and stenohaline. Euryhaline means organism which can tolerate wide range of salinity. Eury means wide, haline means saline or salty, and stenohaline means organisms which can live within a narrow range of salinity. Example, most organisms. Even human beings can include in stenosaline, isn't it? So, again we understood that in the case of water as a abiotic factor, variations are taking place in the environment, and we understood that salinity tolerant organisms are there, and they are of two types, euryhaline and stenohaline, and these two terms are again important as it used to come in the question paper. Now, the other factors such as light and soil also plays a major role in the habitat of an organism, which brings about variation in the environment. The second one is responses to abiotic factors. The process by which organisms maintain relatively constant internal environment under varying external condition is called homeostasis. We know that what is homeostasis. Homeo means same, stasis means state. A balanced state is brought there, and how it is being brought there by an organism? That is, internal environment will be balanced under varying external condition. In that manner, the balanced state is brought in an organism. When a balanced state is brought there in an organism, we can say it as homeostasis. Now, methods to cope with adverse abiotic conditions. There are different methods through which an organism can overcome the adverse abiotic conditions. First method is regulate, second is confirm, third is migrate, and the fourth one is suspend. These are the four methods by which an organism will be able to cope up or overcome with the adverse environmental, or we can say abiotic condition. The first one is regulates. Some organisms are able to maintain homeostasis by physiological or behavioral means to maintain constant body temperature. That is known as thermoregulation. As well as constant osmotic concentration is also maintained there, and that is called osmoregulation. Osmotic concentration is very important in the case of organism. If osmotic balance is not taking place, surely we will be having many problems. So, osmotic concentration as well as constant body temperature should be maintained there in the internal environment of the body. When there is a variation in the external environment, then only homeostasis can be brought in the internal environment of the body. So, these two terms are very important, because thermoregulation is important as well as osmoregulation is also important to maintain homeostasis, and certain organisms they are doing it, and those organisms are known as regulators, because they are able to regulate the temperature as well as osmotic concentration correctly according to the variation taking place in the external environment. Therefore, these organisms are known as regulators. Now, example, birds, mammals, etc. And animals having a regulated body temperature are called endotherms. That is, they are warm blooded animals. Animals, those who are able to regulate their body temperature, they are called endotherm. And example, warm blooded animals, isn't it? Birds, mammals, all are warm blooded animals. Next one related to conforms. These are the organisms which cannot maintain a constant internal environment. Conformers are those organisms which are not able to maintain the internal environment according to the variation taking place in the outer environment. Those organisms are called conformers. You can see the graph here. Internal level is being given there and external level is given here. you can see this is the regulator. Regulators are able to maintain their internal condition according to the variation taking place in the outer environment. Therefore, it is always stable, isn't it? But in the case of conformers, they are not. You can see the graph moving for the conformers. And the third one is the partial regulators, that is partially they will be regulator and partially they will be conformers. So, this is conformers and this is regulators, isn't it, in the case of partial regulators. Majority of animals and plants, as these organisms changes their body temperature with the temperature of the environment in which they live. So, it has been said that majority of plants and animals are there, and what they will do, they will change their body temperature with the temperature of the environment in which or where they live. Such organisms are called ectotherms. So, what are ectotherms? Ectotherms are the organisms which are able to change their body temperature with the temperature of the environment where they live. Example, fish, frogs, plants, etc. The smaller animals have a large surface area in relation to its volume. We know that smaller animals are there and they are having a large surface area according to its volume. That means, in comparison with its volume, we can say they are having a large surface area, and these animals, they lose body heat very fast during winter. They will be losing body heat very fast during winter. So, very small animals are rarely found in the polar region. This is very, very important. In the question paper, it is asked, give reason for why very small animals are rarely found in polar region. Answer is, as these animals have large surface area and when it is compared to the volume, isn't it, and due to that what is happening, they are losing body heat very fastly in the winter season. And we know that polar region are the region where every time snowfall is taking place, isn't it? It is a region of cold. Therefore, small animals, they are seen very rarely in polar region. This is the main point which you have to understand and you have to study, my dear children. Next one, it has been said that some organisms are the intermediate between conformers and regulators. As I have shown you the graph, in the graph it is been said partial regulators, isn't it? I told you partially they are conformers and partially they are regulators. So, that is intermediate between conformers and regulators. These organisms can regulate to a certain limit. They are able to regulate their body activity according to the external environment to certain limit only. Beyond the limit, they behave like conformers. After the limit, they are behaving like conformers. Such animals are called partial regulators. Now, if adverse external conditions are present for short period, the organisms show two adaptations also. Other than this, the organisms, they will be showing two adaptations if the external conditions are adverse for a short period of time, and they are migrate. The first one is migrate. It is a process of temporary movement of organism from the stressful habitat to a more suitable area and return when stressful period is over. What is migrate? It is a phenomenon or a process where the organism is moving temporarily from the stressful habitat where it is living. If that habitat is becoming stressful for them, surely for a temporary period of time they will be moving from that habitat to some other habitat where they will be having stressless habitat, and they will be spending their short time in that habitat, and later on when the environment will be suitable for them, they will be returning back to their habitat. Such process or that phenomenon is called migrate. We know about migratory birds, isn't it? Migratory birds, example, it has been said that in winter birds from Siberia resides in Keolado National Park at Bharatpur in Rajasthan. This is the important example of the migrate, that is migratory birds. They use not only birds, there are many organisms which are moving from one place to another place for a short period of time, isn't it? And that is because if they are having a stressful condition in their habitat, for a period of time they will be moving from that habitat to certain other habitat, and later on they will be moving back to their habitat. Next, adaptation is suspend. Organisms become metabolically inactive and suspend their various activities. Certain period of time, what happens? Organisms, they will be becoming metabolically inactive and they will be suspending their activities. Example, in bacteria, fungus, what is happening? They will develop a thick wall spores around them. When the condition is unfavorable for them, they will be developing a thick wall spores, endospores. I think you would have studied it previously, endospores, isn't it? And that spore will be, that wall will be developed around them. Number 2, in higher plants, seeds and other vegetative reproductive structures undergo dormancy. We know about dormancy also. When the condition is unfavorable, the seeds or the vegetative part which are reproductive structures, sometimes they will be moving to dormancy. We know that what is dormancy. Dormancy is the resting period, isn't it? Or for a short period of time, these structures, they will be undergoing dormancy. Now, animals which are unable to migrate can suspend their activities by 3 ways. There are certain animals which are not able to migrate. They will be able to suspend their activities in 3 ways. First one is hibernation, number 2 is aestivation, and number 3 is diapause. Hibernation is also known as winter sleep. It is a process of passing the winter in a resting or a dormant condition. Certain animals are there or organisms are there which are not able to tolerate winter conditions. What they will do? They will go for winter sleep. They will become dormant, isn't it? Bear, northern ground squirrel, these are the example of hibernation. Sometimes we can see about frog also. Frog is coming under hibernation as well as aestivation also. In the case of aestivation, it is also known as summer sleep. It is the inactivity of an animal which occurs during hot dry period. Aestivation, asti means summer, vation means sleep. So, surely what is happening here? During hot dry period which is not tolerable for certain animals, for that what they will do? They will be suspending their activities for a short period of time. That is aestivation. Example, fish, frog, snails. Number 3 is diapause. It is the temporary interruption in the development of an organism during unfavorable condition. When the unfavorable condition comes, what happens? Temporary interruption will be developed there by an organism. Example, zooplankton, insects, etc. So, these are the 3 methods through which what is happening there? The animals, they are able to suspend their activity. Okay, hibernation, aestivation and diapause. Now, the next one, this next topic is adaptation. Any morphological, physiological and behavioral attribute of the organism that enable it to survive and reproduce in its habitat is called adaptation. Adaptation means the attribute of an organism that is related to morphology, physiology and behavior which make the organism to survive and reproduce in that habitat is known as adaptation. Adaptation in a desert animal, we can see now how the desert animal, they are adapted to live in desert. The kangaroo rat in Northern American desert is able to meet its internal water requirement by oxidation of fat, which is also known as metabolic water. So, how it is able to meet the internal water requirement? By oxidizing the fat which is stored in its body, isn't it? In that manner they are able to live in the desert condition. Next one is adaptation in desert plants. Desert plants, they have thick waxy coating on leaves which is called cuticle to minimize water loss during transpiration. Isn't it? Transpiration, we know that it is a process by which water is being lost to the surrounding from the body of the plant or animal. So here in the case of plants, desert plants, they are having a thick waxy coating that is called cuticle, which is helping them to lose water to a minimized level. So that is one of the adaptation of desert plant. Next is they are having a sunken stomata, and number 3, they are having a special photosynthetic pathway called CAM, and then next 4, plants like Opentia develop spine. Opentia is cactus. We know that cactus are mostly seen in deserts. So in cactus they are having spines, and these spines will be protecting the cactus from the dangerous animals, as well as they are having a flattened leaf like structure which will be conducting photosynthesis. So these are certain adaptation of desert animals so that they will be able to survive in the desert climatic condition. Next is adaptation in mammals in cold climate. Mammals of colder climates have shorter ears and limbs to reduce surface area. So there is minimal heat loss. So what is the adaptation the animals are having there? They are having shorter ear as well as limbs. Limbs and ears are shorter in them. Why? Because to reduce surface area, and when the surface area is reduced, surely the heat loss will be less, and it is called Allen's rule. Seals have a thick layer of fat which is called bulbous below their skin that acts as an insulator. This is important, my dear children, and this one is also important. Allen's rule, bulbar. What is bulbar? It is used to ask in the question paper. You have to write there. Bulbar, it is a thick layer of fat. And what is Allen's rule? You have to write there. Most of the mammals in colder climatic condition are having shorter ear and limbs to reduce the surface area so that the heat loss will be less or it is reduced. These two things are very, very important. Next one is physiological adaptation in stressful situations. That is, stressful situations, what are the physiological adaptation can be taken by the organisms? We can see that at high altitude a person experiences a condition of sickness. When we move on to the higher altitude from the ground level to the higher level, what will happen? We will be experiencing a sickness condition, and that is called altitude sickness, isn't it? Now, the symptoms of altitude sickness are nausea, fatigue, heart palpitation. These are the 3 main symptoms of altitude sickness. Now, a person compensates low oxygen availability, isn't it? When a person is moving on to the higher altitude, automatically what will happen? There will be less oxygen availability in the body of an organism. So, how a person is able to compensate the low oxygen availability? We can see by increasing red blood production. Automatically the body will start to produce red blood. Red blood production will be increasing there. Number 2, by decreasing the binding affinity of hemoglobin. The binding affinity of hemoglobin with carbon dioxide will be taking place, and that will be blocked there, it will be decreased there. And by increasing breathing rate, the breathing rate will be increased there by the body automatically. So, the body is doing all these activity to compensate low oxygen availability if a person is suffering from altitude sickness. So, that is about adaptation. That is very, very important. You have to understand and you have to learn all the technical terms related to this topic. Next one is related to population. It is a group of similar individuals living together in a particular area in a particular time. So, what is population? similar organisms will be there. They will be living in a group together in a particular area in a particular time. That is called population. Next, population has group attributes like birth rates, death rates, sex ratio, age distribution, population size, etc. These are the attributes which are present there in the population. What is birth rate? It is the rate of population of a new individual in a population by birth per unit time. Per unit time, if a birth is taking place and it is adding to the population, that is called birth rate. Death rate, it is the rate of loss of individual from a population per unit time by death. If a person has lost its life from a population, surely there will be a loss of a individual in a population. That is called death rate. And what is sex ratio? We know that male and female are there in a population, and the ratio of male and female is said as 60% of population are female and 40% are male in the population. Next is related to age group, which is also known as age distribution, age structure. So, according to age period, the organisms are classified into 3 ecological age groups. Number 1, pre-reproductive, 2, reproductive, and the third one is post-reproductive. The first one is pre-reproductive. It is the stage where young individuals enters reproductive age. That is, young individual stage is pre-reproductive stage. Reproductive means are those or are the ones which are adding new members to the population. Reproductive are, or we can say reproductive age groups are those which are able to add new members to the population. And the third one is post reproductive age group. They are older individuals which no longer take part in reproduction. The older groups are there which are coming under post reproductive stage. So, these are the 3 age groups according to the age period. It is very important, you have to study it. Next one is related to the age pyramid. It is a graphical representation of properties of various age groups of the population. A graphical representation is being done based on the various age group of a population. We will be getting age pyramid. In the age pyramid, the pre-reproductive group is at the base. That is, the younger people will be always at the base, and the reproductive group will be in the middle of the pyramid, and the post-reproductive group will be always at the top of the pyramid. So, there are 3 types of age pyramid based on the age group. They are triangular, which is also called expanding population, bell shaped, which is also called stable population, and the third one is urn shaped, which is also known as declining population. The first one is triangular shaped or expanding population. The population has more number of pre-reproductive individuals. In the expanding, we know that pre-reproductive means the younger people population will be more there, reproductive individuals will be lesser, and the post-reproductive groups will be very few in the size. So, that is related to triangular shaped or expanding population. The shape will be going in a triangle way. Next is related to bell shape, which is also known as stable population. In this type of pyramid, pre-reproductive individuals are almost equal to the reproductive individuals. Here, the young people will be equal to the reproductive age people, and the post-reproductive groups are very few in number. Next one is urn shaped, that is declining population. Here you can see pre-reproductive individuals are lesser, and the population size is declining due to fewer pre-reproductive groups. The younger groups which are there, it will be very less in the case of declining population, isn't it? That's why it is in the shape of urn. You can see here 3 types of pyramid is there. One is expanding, number 2 is stable, and number 3 is declining. In the case of expanding, we can see here pre-reproductive is at the base, reproductive in the middle, and post-reproductive is in the top. This is in the form of a triangle shape. Now, in the case of stable, you can see pre-reproductive as well as reproductive, they are almost equal in number, and the post-reproductive, they are fewer in number. That's why this is the shape that is bell shaped, isn't it? You can see in the form of a bell it is. Next one is declining. Here you can see the pre-reproductive age groups are very less. Here the reproductive group you can see, and next is the post-reproductive, again they are fewer. So here you can see it is an urn shaped or declining population. So this is related to age pyramid based on the age group people, that is pre-reproductive, reproductive and post-reproductive. This pyramid is very, very important. You have to study it, my dear children. I think you would have understood today's session very nicely. If you are having any doubt related to any topic, any term based on this session, my dear children, please call me and clarify your doubt. Please be on track and complete your notes so that you will be happy in your future life as your examination is coming, and that time you will be cool and relaxed and you will be able to study very nicely. My dear children, with this I wind the session here, and in the next session we will be meeting again. Till then, take care.